Hi there. This video has three learning intentions and success criteria. The first one is to describe the government and the leaders of the colony after 1760. The success criteria is that I can describe the details of the government and the leaders of the colony after 1760. The second learning intention is to describe the measures imposed by the new leaders of the colony. And the success criteria is that I can describe the measures imposed by the new leaders of the colony. And the final learning intention is to explain the consequences of the new measures on the colony. And the success criteria is that I can explain the consequences of the new measures on the colony. So let's take a step back. In 1759, the British had arrived at Quebec, put the city under siege, and in a daring attack, climbed the cliffs and arrived at the Plains of Abraham, where the French exited Quebec, and the two forces met in a battle, which the British won. Both commanders, the Marquis de Montcalm and General Wolfe, were killed, but as a result, the British now controlled Quebec. The following year, in 1760, the British marched on Montreal, where the governor, the Marquis de Vaudreuil, capitulated or surrendered to the British. Now, these articles of capitulation, or the surrender, form the basis of this period, which is known as military rule. So the colony was now under control of the British military. General Jeffrey Amherst was the commander-in-chief, and as a result, he was in command overall of the British forces. However, he established a number of districts: Montreal, Trois-Rivières, and Quebec, and appointed other generals. So the most important general for us is James Murray, who is in charge of the District of Quebec. Now, the laws that were imposed on the French, the first one was on the French military. They were not allowed to have their military honors when they surrendered, and they burnt their flags as a result. The people were forced to swear an oath of allegiance. French civil laws, however, could continue, which was known as the Coutume de Paris. However, English criminal laws were brought in, but because the colony was administered by the military, the criminal cases for serious offenses were brought before a military court-martial. The French could keep their property, which included slaves, and the practice of the Catholic religion was tolerated. The English realized that they had to be very practical in running this territory. So there was a duality of language. While English was the preferred language because 99% of the people who lived there were French, French was still used to communicate with the people. Canadiens filled the administrative and some judicial posts, so they were judges, and records such as births, deaths, and marriages continued to be written in French. However, there were some definite consequences. One was that about 4,000 people left. These were soldiers, merchants, and administrators of the French government who were forced to leave the colony. There was questions over what the relationship between the Aboriginal people would be and the British, because the Aboriginals were, for the most part, allies with the French. So how would the British deal with this other group of people that now that they had conquered? And the final question is, what exactly would happen to the territory of New France? Remember, the 7 Years' War is not over yet. The war won't end until 1763. So the people that lived at this time were very hopeful that at the negotiating table, maybe New France would be returned to France, and all they had to do was just kind of suffer through the next couple of years, and then when the war was done, everything would go back to normal. However, we know that it didn't, but they didn't know that at the time. Well, thanks for watching. After you've finished your notes and your summary, please consider the following essential question. Were the British the friendly conquerors?